Hi there. Welcome to the 8th unit of study, Design, Plan, and Deliver Coaching Programs. In this unit, you'll learn how to conduct the initial coaching session, how to provide supportive and encouraging follow-up, and how to conduct subsequent coaching sessions. Many clients will experience challenges as they move towards their personal goals, and it's important for the coach to identify these barriers and provide whatever support and assistance is necessary for them to reach their goals. The success of any coaching relationship is based on the chemistry that develops between the client and the coach. The client will get an immediate gut reaction which says, "This is the person for me," or "This is the person who gets me." When this feeling is present, it leads to a trusting relationship in which rapport comes easily. The next step is to agree on the details of the coaching program. When, where, how often, what's the cost? Your response as a coach may be to ask them, how often would you like to be coached? What's your budget? And when would you like to start? This gives you a good indication of how to proceed. You can design a coaching program of 3, 6, or 10 sessions. Any number is possible. Maybe you just start with one coaching session to see how things go. Some coaches offer a first session free of charge to get clients into the swing of things and then convert them to paying customers. At your first meeting with the client, you will have identified the need for coaching, gathered information on their situation, problem, or concern, and identified any essential knowledge, skills, or resources related to solving the problem. Even if this information has not been forthcoming during the first meeting, you'll have established enough of a base to go with, and the rest will unfold during your coaching. Now's the time to plan out and deliver the initial coaching session. Your plan will go something like this. Review the outcomes from the first meeting. Address any immediate concerns. Find out about the problem. Explore this a little further to get clarity and complete understanding. Create a compelling future based around solving the problem and moving towards their desired goals, which will be developed as SMART goals. Then, action plan, including identifying any barriers or constraints, and finally, summarize and close the session. You'll start out by asking the client what thoughts they've had about anything that was discussed in the first meeting. Also, what actions, if any, they've taken since you last met. What happened? What were the results? Compliment them on the things that went well. If some things didn't go well, together determine if there's some low-hanging fruit that can be addressed immediately with success. Then ask them if there's any immediate goals in their life that need to be addressed before begin looking at their goals. These may be things like, I really need to update my resume by tomorrow so I can apply for this new job. If this is the case, the coaching session should focus on how to restructure their resume for as long as it takes before focusing on the original goal. A great approach is to start out with a general question, like, what's the most important thing we should be talking about today? In this way, the coaching session becomes immediate, focused, relevant, and extremely important to the client and their future. Alternatively, you could ask them, is there anything on your mind that we should look at before we start working on your goals? Dealing with these immediate issues up front in the coaching process releases any pent-up and often negative energy, thus allowing a more productive coaching session to follow. In your first meeting with the client, you identified their problem or need in broad terms. Now's the time to become more specific in relation to the size and frequency of the problem. Ask the client questions like, what exactly is the problem? How often does it occur? Where and when? Does it affect all parts of your life or just some aspects? Who else is involved? How do they help or hinder the situation? What part of the situation are you responsible for? What have you done to resolve the situation? With what result? What else could you do? Do you need help or support or resources from anyone else to overcome this problem? How committed are you to resolving this problem? How will things be for you when it is resolved? How will you feel? Pace out asking these questions and wait for the client's response to each one before proceeding to the next. Allow as much time as you need to tease out their real concerns. Using this process, you may find that the problem or issue may change. However, by the end of it, you'll have uncovered the real concern and multiple ways in which it's evidenced and experienced. Now that you know exactly what the problem is, it's time to ask the client how they'd like things to be. If you could wave a magic wand and have everything as you wanted it, how would that be? If there were no constraints, and the client was able to imagine the brightest future possible, what would that future be? Spend a lot of time on this step. Have the client use the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, representational systems to fully explore their future in vivid color, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Have them become completely immersed in the experience, as if they were right there in the moment, having achieved their dreams. Get them to tell you what's happening, what they see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. They're right there, in the moment, experiencing everything they've ever dreamed of. Some clients may like to write this down for their future reference and to make the experience more concrete. Some clients may want to draw it. Some may want to construct it using whatever materials you have available in your coaching room, like pens, paper, book weights, etc. Imagining this will help the client open up new horizons and new possibilities. You can then start to focus on and systematically explore specific opportunities that are central to their coaching needs. If they falter, challenge their assumptions and perspectives to uncover barriers, provoke new ideas, and find new possibilities for the future. Engage with them to explore alternative ideas and solutions and evaluate options. Now that your client has created their ideal future, it's time to put goals in place to achieve it. Ask the client, what goals would you like to put in place to make your future a reality over the coming months and years? Have them state their goals as clearly as possible. For example, my goal is to gain promotion to supervisor within 12 months. Your job as their coach is to make sure that this goal is SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Write down each goal as it's mentioned. Then ask the client to identify whether each goal is urgent and or important. Use a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high. Have them allocate the two numbers, then record these on the urgent important matrix to determine which goals should be worked on and in what order. Action planning is the next step. Ask the client, what have you tried already that has or hasn't worked? What's gotten in your way in the past from having things exactly the way you want? Are there any things you need to do or address right now that are non-negotiable, that must happen? Where will you be in 3, 6, or 12 months' time if you don't act on these? Test the client's level of commitment to achieving their goals. Ask them, on a scale of 1 to 10, to indicate their desire to achieve each one, and of course, congratulate them on a 10 score. The next and final step is to summarize the session and close. First, you summarize the client's vision and goals, then review the actions they've committed to undertake. Then you ask for feedback on the coaching session and how it went from the client's perspective. Did it achieve what it set out to do? And if not, why not? What else needs to be addressed? Commit to the client receiving a summary of the coaching session within 24 hours. Then you confirm the date for the next coaching session and preview the focus, the goals to be worked on. Identify if there's any information the client needs to bring to this session to guide decisions and actions, or any research they need to do beforehand. Thank the client and say you're looking forward to working with them in the future. Between this coaching session and the next one, there are several things you need to do to keep the momentum going. First, do as you've indicated and send a summary of the coaching session to the client within 24 hours. This makes sure you're both on the same page, and the client can refer to the actions they committed to take. As you gain experience, you may want to assign this task to the client to write up the summary for your review. And depending on the client, some may not need a summary to remind them of the actions they've committed to. But initially, it's a good discipline for the coach to write up a summary of the coaching session and send it to the client. Add a motivational note when you send it. This shows support for them and encouragement to take the actions they said they'd take before the next session. And it's very important that you complete the coach tracking worksheet so that you know when you saw the client, when you invoiced and received payment, etc. Then, in the coming week or two, you need to monitor the client's progress. This is joint accountability. The client is accountable for taking the actions they committed to. The coach is accountable for holding the client to taking the actions they said they'd take. Note that the coach only does what the client cannot do for him or herself. And because life goes on with all its ups and downs while your client is trying to achieve their goals, you need to be flexible when scheduling the coaching sessions. As a coach, you need to maintain ongoing communication with your client in between sessions. Weekly communication is recommended in a way that best suits the client. Find out if they prefer to be contacted by phone, email, SMS, or Skype. Consider using a customer relationship management system in which you can record your interactions with the client so you'll always be on top of what has been said and done. This is especially important when you get a number of clients and you're trying to remember what's happened over the course of your coaching programs. Consider also the impact of social media, especially Facebook and Twitter, as a means of staying connected with your clients and marketing your services. And finally, you need to send a reminder before the next coaching session to remind the client of the upcoming session and start to get them back into the mood. The Getting the Most from Your Coaching Program email that you've developed is a good way to reconnect with them before the next session. At the second and subsequent coaching sessions, you should start off with a general but powerful inquiry like, "What's the most important thing we should be talking about today?" Then follow up with, "Tell me more about that. How's that impacting you, your family, your life in general? What will happen if things don't change? What's the best outcome for you and all concerned if we can solve this problem?" Continue the coaching session using your previous coaching session plan, working on either this problem or their second goal. As you proceed through the coaching program, you'll be able to identify a variety of developmental opportunities for your client to acquire new knowledge or develop a new set of skills. These opportunities may involve attendance at training programs, enrollment in a specific course of study, being mentored by a senior person, etc. To take advantage of these opportunities, you first need to confirm the client's learning and development needs, goal set the specific outcomes to be achieved by gaining the new knowledge or skills, develop action plans to meet their learning and development goals and needs, and identify any barriers or constraints to achieving these goals and targets, personal or otherwise. Here's a process for you to use when you're coaching for long-term growth. It's a self-reflective process that the client can use to review their own progress. Using this approach, the client can review what's happened in their life, review their most memorable experiences, review the impact on themselves and others, look at the insights they've gained, and the actions they've chosen, and with what result. When you can teach the client to undertake this review by themselves, or as a form of self-analysis, then you have given them a tool they can use over and over again to evaluate their options and gauge their success. Facilitating a steady progress towards achieving the client's goals becomes the main focus after each session. This can be achieved by the coach using powerful questions, the client consolidating new skills, and integrating new knowledge into everyday practice. Effective coaches use the principle of spaced practice to help the client reinforce new behaviors over multiple sessions and multiple settings, for example, at work, at home, and in social situations. The client may learn more slowly, but the learning becomes deep structured learning rather than surface learning. Asking clients for feedback is good business practice. This allows any perceived grievances or bad feelings to surface so they can be addressed and rectified as per the contract, and a good relationship can continue. Using the coaching feedback form to obtain feedback on your style and coaching services, as well as to ask for referrals and testimonials you can use for advertising purposes. And don't forget to send your clients a little thank you gift or note in return. After some time of delivering your coaching services, you may notice certain themes emerging peculiar to your client group. When this happens, you might consider consolidating your coaching into group coaching sessions. In an instructional role, you can impart certain information to help your clients gain their own insights, and then engage with each one of them in a coaching role to help them convert these insights into actions. Here's an example of a group coaching program conducted over 6 sessions using content that you believe will be helpful to your client group. Communicating effectively, being assertive, finding your passion, goal setting, action planning, using mastery experiences to be even more successful. The series could be conducted, say, 1 night a week, plus a repeat on a weekend. Group coaching programs are a good way to maximize the monetary return for your time and expertise. That's all for now. If you're enrolled in any of the diplomas for life coaching, business coaching, leadership coaching, or executive coaching, there will be additional units of study for you, which will be sent to you shortly. In the meantime, start coaching and see what a difference it can make to people's lives.